Hi everyone! Today's video is going to be a little bit different. A few things have changed in my life and I realized that I wanted to give you an update. Everything that's happened in my life and the way that it's changed, God is at the center of it. I want to give Him all the credit in this video. This is going to be my testimony on how God sent me to Spain. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Like this video if you want to see more about my daily walk with God. Also, you can follow me on all my social media, which I keep updated very often. So yeah, let's get into the video. As of August this year, so about 2 months ago, I made the courageous decision to move to Madrid, Spain. When I shared this decision with my family and loved ones, every time someone asked me why are you moving? You have to have a reason. I mean, yeah, sure, you can pick up and go, but even then, you have a reason to travel the world, to meet people, to do whatever. You have to have a reason. My reason was to follow God's plan for my life. So first of all, I'm going to tell you the story of how God put in the foundation of this desire, how He then help that desire grow in me, and then how He gave me the courage to make that decision. And more importantly, just before I left, He showed me that actually throughout this whole process, He'd shown me the future from the beginning, and He knew that I would move. So how did I get associated with Spain? So about a year ago and a half, almost 2 years, I decided to go abroad and teach English. Some of them were just 6 months to a year, and I didn't want to go away for that long. So I looked for something even shorter than 3 months, and then I found De Verbo. If you've never heard of De Verbo, I definitely recommend it. I keep meaning to do a video just based on De Verbo because I had such an incredible time there. It's a company that provides a sort of camp, if that's what you want to call it, called Pueblos Ingles. What that means is that a bunch of Spanish people come together in the mountains in Salamanca, and it's a full immersion technique of learning English. So they get 50% Anglos, 50% Spaniards, and we all come together and we spend a whole week speaking English. And that allows them to improve at a much faster rate than they would if they studied at home. Let's just say I liked it so much that I went back again a couple of months later. So far I've done 2 programs and I do hope to go back for more. The reason I'm explaining all of this to you is because after the first program, so at the end of the week, we all came back to Madrid, at least most of us, and I ended up going into a hotel and staying on my own because I had already pre-booked that before I met anybody. And honestly, I will never forget that night. I have never been so upset to say goodbye to not only the people there, but the country and the Spanish culture. I was so upset that I couldn't breathe. I was having a panic attack / crying like, what's that word? Crying like tantrum sort of thing. It was intense, okay? And I came home and slowly, you know, I started to feel better. I still missed my wonderful, wonderful Spanish friends so much. And of course the Anglos as well. But it was the Spaniards that I really connected to. And I went back again. I made incredible friends. I wasn't near as upset this time because I knew it was possible to come back. But this was the funny thing, was I came home. It had been about, I don't know, 3-4 weeks, and my heart was still longing for that place. It felt broken. It's such a strange emotion to explain, but basically I got back to the UK and I looked outside my window and I felt miserable. I looked at the rain and I felt miserable. I looked at everything around me. Even my family made me so upset because I felt like they weren't what I needed at the time, you know, and it just, something was missing. I then went over to God and I talked to him about this. I had this desire in my heart to return to Spain again for another program. And I didn't understand why the second time was even more painful than the first. So I prayed about it, and slowly God spoke to me through dreams and various things. And one morning I woke up and I was so determined to make a decision about what to do that I knelt down and I said, Lord, if you'll have me, I want to move to Spain. It just came out of me. This desire to go back. It's like I knew that it wouldn't be satisfied if I just went back for another program. There had to be more. And I felt like I needed to move to Madrid. It was ringing in my ears, and I just blurted it out to God. And immediately, his voice was so loud. And again, I want to make this clear. It wasn't an audible voice. If you haven't had the Lord speak to you before, please don't think that I'm talking about an audible voice. It was in my head and in my spirit. But after a while, when God does that a lot, you get used to it. You start to recognize his voice. And I know it was him. And he just said the word go to me. He said, go, 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 and over and over and over again. And then I had this incredible epiphany. I ended up sitting down there on my knees for like 4 hours because I couldn't get up. I was in such shock to what God revealed to me. This is what he showed me. He showed me how I had two people, two men in particular, that I had met on the first program, the one where I was really sad. And those two people, God said to me, they will help you when you come to Spain. And I feel like crying right now because that's exactly how it happened. And I don't even think that they will ever truly understand how grateful I am for everything they've done. But those two people in particular, have, like, literally God brought them in my life 110%. And God told me, I've picked those people that were going to be in that program to meet you, for you to meet them, because I know that in the kindness of their hearts, they will help you when you go to move to Madrid. So it shows, can you believe how beautiful that is, that God prepares the way for us way before we even know what his will is. He showed me this. He just made me see so many things that he'd done and that he'd prepared in advance. And it was like he was saying, the place is ready for you. I want you to go. I have a plan for you there, and your place is no longer here in London. You need to go. I then decided that day that I was going to move to Spain. I didn't even doubt it for 1 second. I hadn't told anybody except my best friend for like 3-4 months. I didn't even tell my parents. Eventually I told everybody, and like I said, some were surprised, some looked at me and kind of guessed it, you know, because I was talking about Spain so much that they looked at me as if to sort of say, this is expected, like I saw it from the beginning, which again was more and more confirmation that I was doing the right thing. I then had like a little birthday party slash goodbye party with like literally all my loved ones from church, and it was an incredible time. But I was setting up, I was putting up like Spanish flags everywhere, and we were doing a Spanish theme thing. Nobody had come yet. I was obviously there early, and I looked down onto this sort of little paper mache thing I was preparing, and I look up, and the minute I look up, it's like my eyes were opened. It's like this bright light just went off, and I realized, oh my goodness, I recognize this place. And bear with me here. What I mean is, the best way to describe it would be, it's a deja vu moment, except it wasn't deja vu. I realized that I had a dream about that exact moment where I was in that building and I was waiting for people to come, and I was getting ready to leave. I wasn't even at that church, right? It was like a year before. And I remember waking up from that dream and thinking, oh, where is that? I have no idea what that building is. I have no idea why was I sad in the dream, because I was saying goodbye to people. I was so confused. And then I realized that God had told me long time ago that I was going to leave, and that again confirmed to me that I was in the middle of his plan. Let's just say there's so much more about this story. There's so much more, but I wanted to share about how God led me here. And then I arrived, and I felt more at peace than I've ever done in my life. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying that. It was genuinely, I don't know, I arrived and I felt like I was where I belonged. A lot of people may think, how could you have moved country just because you prayed and God told you to go? To this day, I still don't know 100% the reason that God wants me here. I don't know if it's one reason, I don't know if it's a few of them, but what I do know is that I'm in his will, and there is no greater joy than that, because when we're in God's will, it's like we're on the pathway of our lives and we're heading to this destination of grandeur and positivity and blessing, because that's all he wants for us. And as we head down that road, when you know that when you're on that road and you're heading in that direction, it's like knowing that no matter what happens, and trust me, I had tough times when I first came here. I had the first couple of weeks were really tough. I missed home. I felt like I'd just done something crazy for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? You know, a little panic mode. But at the end of the day, I always came back to what God had promised me, and I always looked at my life and I realized, you know what? I know that I'm here for a reason, and I'm not giving up. And you know, it's funny because my mum just kept, every time I'd call her and I missed home and I felt reminiscent of England and understanding when people came up to me and you know, asked for help, instead of me going, que no entiendo, lo siento. And every time I'd tell her I missed home, she would ask me what any mother would ask. Do you want to come home? Do you want me to help you come back? Do you want to return? Do you regret going? And every time she did, I would jump and I would get upset. Not because of her suggestion. It wasn't irrational. It was a totally rational suggestion. I would get upset because my mind was nowhere near that. I was so far from thinking that I should come home that I can't even tell you. It was tough, but that's what I'm talking about. When you know that you're on the pathway to your destiny, that God has proclaimed and has promised you, you don't care. You don't care how difficult it is. You know out of the bottom of your heart that you are not going to turn around, and you are most certainly not going to take another route. You are going to keep going. You just get a little bit disheartened when you realize how hard it is. But then, with God's grace and his power, we're able to pass through those mountains and stand on his shoulders and look out and realize what a beautiful place he's brought us into. First and foremost, I want to give glory and praise to God for how amazing he's planned my whole life and how he continues to amaze me every single day. My journey and my relationship with him has been phenomenal since I've gotten here. I can't even tell you. There's so much to say. There's so much to say. And secondly, I want to thank every single person that has spoken to me through Christ, for him, and with him. Please know that you have been used by God, and that I am so grateful for where I am right now. I have officially moved into my new house. I'm starting work in a couple of days / a week or so. And I'm making incredible friends. I found a church that I'm really, really loving. And it's Spanish, by the way, so imagine how that is. But God is in everything. And I am so content with what he's got for me, and for the future, for my future career, for my future husband, all of it. I fully entrust it to God. Yeah. I hope that this encourages you to know that if you want, God can rule your life like a king. He really knows how to do it. So if you trust him, he can bring you to an incredible new place that even you thought was impossible. So trust that. I'm also planning a Christian blog that I'm going to be writing, and I'm currently almost ready to publish. And a lot of these stories and details of how I got here and my journey from getting here to coming to a place of total peace, as well as how my relationship with God has developed, gone up and down, all of it. It's fascinating how much God has been speaking to me, and I want to put it all down because I feel selfish. I feel selfish keeping it all to myself. It's just, people should know about how great God is. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any suggestions, any questions, please put them down below. I would love to answer them. Thank you once more, and God bless you. Bye.